Last Friday, the U.S. Department of Labor reported that our nation lost almost 600,000 jobs in January 2009, the largest monthly job loss in the last 13 years, and that the January national unemployment rate was 7.6%, with 3.6 million jobs lost over the last 13 months. In Illinois, we have lost more than 100,000 jobs so far, including 36,000 in the month of December. For months, I have called for a national plan that addresses our economic crisis, one that creates as many jobs as possible and as quickly as possible. The Obama administration developed a wide-ranging plan that would kickstart our nation's job recovery, economic recovery as well, and submitted it to Congress. Without that, they rightly argue we're facing truly a national catastrophe. 2 weeks ago, the House of Representatives passed their version of the economic recovery bill. Last Friday night, the Senate reached an agreement on the outlines of the plan, and I encourage them to pass their version as quickly as possible. Once the Senate has voted, the bill then will go to a conference committee with the House, where I hope a final bill will be agreed to in a very short order. It is imperative that the House and the Senate work together and pass the conference bill as soon as possible. They must not allow politics or partisanship to sidetrack enacting this important legislation that the American people want and that our economy desperately needs. With each day, our economy is getting worse. The longer they wait to agree and vote on a final bill, the longer it will take the recovery legislation to have an impact. I'll be traveling to Washington, D.C. to make Chicago's case again. I will also raise issues that are concerned cities. It is important to understand that there are major differences between the House and the Senate version. And let me give you just a few important examples. The current Senate plan does not include any funding for school construction. The House bill included $14 billion in capital funds for kindergarten through 12 schools. The current Senate plan would substantially reduce funding for the state's Fiscal Stabilization Fund, which is designed to help state and local governments fund education and other key public services that have been dramatically impacted by the economy, the job layoffs, and what we see in business as well, such as public safety and human services. The House bill includes $79 billion for this important fund, while the current Senate plan includes only $39 billion. The current Senate plan lacks funding that cities could deploy quickly for important programs that can help build and maintain strong neighborhoods. And I'll give you an example. The House included $1 billion for CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant. It's a wonderful program which enacted under President Nixon, which helps cities fund affordable housing, economic opportunities for low and moderate income persons, and over $4 billion for Neighborhood Stabilization Program, NSP, which helps cities acquire foreclosed homes to help preserve neighborhoods that have been hit hard by the foreclosure program. The Senate plan has no funds for either one of these two wonderful programs. These are among the most important issues for cities. I will make the case that we need as much support as we can get in the final conference committee bill. At the same time, we'll make it clear that Chicago and other cities around the nation need a specific commitment from all levels of government, both state and federal, to cooperate in the disbursement and expenditures of all these funds. We can't let red tape get in the way. I understand that the federal government investments of this magnitude is unprecedented. But many of the federal rules and other details for dispersing and spending the funding are not even worked out as yet. In order to be timely and effective in the efforts to put people back to work and stimulate the spending, it will be critical for all levels of government to enter a new era of cooperation, putting unnecessary bureaucracy aside and letting common sense prevail. The final bill should allow for this type of cooperation. I want to ensure the people of Chicago that once the President signs the legislation, we will be ready to put these funds to work in Chicago. We hope the federal and state governments will work with us so we'll be able to do this as quickly as possible. While there have been reports of city and state wish lists of specific projects, these are only wish lists. These lists are not part of any funding process. In fact, the federal government will not ask cities and states for a comprehensive list. Rather, once the economic recovery bill becomes law, cities will become eligible to apply for and receive grants. And these grant funds will be distributed in two basic ways. Cities and/or states will apply and compete for funding for specific projects and programs that fit their specific criteria, or they will supplement funding to existing formula-based programs that support programs like the CDGB grants, for example, so that we can hit the ground running as soon as funding becomes available. We have been working to develop a Chicago investment plan with the City of Chicago, the Board of Education, the Park District, the CTA, and the community colleges as well. We are looking at projects that can be completed within a certain time frame, under contract within 90 days, and the project completed within 1 year. Today, I'm announcing some of the projects and programs for Chicago that we hope can be funded once the final bill passes. Most likely, not all these things will be included. However, we are ready, and I say we are ready, with as much as the bill allows once the President signs it into law and funding is real. First, we've identified potential key infrastructure project areas across the city. If funded and approved, will enable the City of Chicago to, number one, repair, reconstruct 15 miles of public transit lines, retrofit and improve more than 200 schools for the 21st century, resurface more than 150 miles of arterial city streets, retrofit more than 200 miles of city streetlights, install or repair 75 miles of sewer and water mains, install solar panels in more than 200 city facilities, repair a substantial number of bridges and viaducts, expand broadband access over 20,000 homes, including 10,000 in Chicago Housing Authority, enhance technology at our schools, in our healthcare systems, and weatherize thousands of homes to improve energy efficiency. We estimate that these projects alone will create thousands of new jobs in the City of Chicago. Further, we have identified other potential programs and project areas that, if funded and approved, will enable the city to create more jobs, strengthen our workforce, improve our education, help those most in need, including training workers for the new economy, including nurses and healthcare professionals, improve education for children by providing tutoring, remediation services, special education programs, and continued training for our teachers, providing additional Head Start and early Head Start programs for children, providing meals to children and seniors in this difficult economy, providing new funding for police. The number of jobs that can be created and people that can be served through these programs and projects will ultimately be determined by the types of programs that can be funded and the level of funding that is provided. I want to make it clear that moving forward throughout the year, the identification of these projects and programs will be a very fluid process. This is an unprecedented government initiative in American history. Even with our good start in identifying these projects, we won't have our final investment plan until we know exactly how much funding we'll receive and what the funds can be spent to accomplish. We'll stay on top of this situation day by day. We'll be ready to quickly update our plan if needed. As the House bill recognizes, in some cases, there'll be value in using existing contracts. Utilizing existing contracts for some of the work, rather than being forced to rebid all the work that will be part of this economic recovery package, will allow us to hit the ground running and put these funds in Chicagoans to work as soon as possible. The City of Chicago and its sister agencies currently have in place 49 contracts with existing capacity to accomplish a great deal of the infrastructure work that I've outlined. However, I want to be clear that the City of Chicago and our sister agencies will also bid new contracts so everyone has a chance to apply for these projects and programs, including those who are not currently city vendors. We will target those projects that have scopes written and are ready to be put out to bid immediately. Second, where appropriate, we will bid new and expanded contracts for unit-based construction procurement or job order contracts. These type of contracts pose the city to act immediately on the type of projects that will be funded by the Recovery Act. More than 10 departments and sister agencies have relevant job order contracts in place. Third, today my staff forwarded to the Illinois Department of Transportation our entire list of street improvement projects for their review. There's no reason why this kind of administrative review should be put on hold. Fourth, I will introduce a resolution to the City Council this week to strongly urge the federal government to allow the city to use our M and WBE requirement when awarding projects that are part of the economic recovery package rather than the only federal DBE program. The Federal Disadvantaged Business, or DBE program, leaves out a substantial number of certified minority and women-owned businesses in the City of Chicago that meets the city's M and WBE threshold, but do not qualify as DBEs. We believe these businesses should be targeted as part of the plan. Let's remember the underlying goal of the legislation is to jumpstart the economy and put people back to work as quickly as possible. We want all of our business partners and delegate agencies, big and small, be involved in the process. That's why I've directed my Department of Procurement Services to conduct a Federal Economic Recovery Act workshop where people wishing to do business with the city can obtain information about how to be involved as quickly as possible. Enacting the Economic Recovery Bill that will put America back to work must be the highest priority for Congress. They cannot get sidetracked by politics. There is too much at stake. They cannot let the people of America down. We've got to get America economy moving forward again, and we need to start immediately. Thank you very much.